Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How y'all doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good. We just want to let our listeners know we got Chris Lofton with us, 2007 SEC Player of the Year. If you look behind me here, one of my favorite players of all time, represented in my office/studio. And just want to thank you for coming on, Chris. How you been?
I'm good, man. Appreciate y'all having me. Looking forward to it. Sorry it took me so long to reply back. I never check my messages on there, so I'm glad it finally worked out.
What do you mean, man? You're just playing basketball for a living. You don't have time to check your Twitter feed every day and check every message that every idiot like me sends you? No, man, it's all good. I'm glad you got back to me, and I enjoyed talking to you, and I'm glad you're with us. Tell us what's been going on. I know you've been playing in Korea, correct?
Yes, sir. I played in Korea, so 2019 was my last stop. 2020, the COVID kind of ruined it for me, and this year I haven't played at all. So I'm gonna play in a TBT tournament coming up next month with some of my old Tennessee teammates, and then really I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I would like to keep playing, but who knows? I might get into coaching. Just waiting on God to help me figure it out.
What's the experience like playing over in Korea and around the world? What is the love for the game over there? The excitement in the fans like it is over here? What's the experience like over there?
Absolutely. I mean, soccer's number one, of course, in Europe. That's where I've played most of my career, Europe. South Korea was the first time I've been in Asia. But, Turkey, Spain, Russia, France, Lithuania, those are my European places I've played, and, they all love basketball. Soccer's number one over there, but basketball is right behind it at number two, and the fans are passionate. They love their basketball. They really care.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit, Chris, if you can, about 2016. Obviously, you had a banner year, won the MVP, and then I believe you guys won the championship, and you won the finals MVP. So talk to us a little bit about that and what that was like for you.
Yeah, 2016, my team won the French Cup, and I was named MVP. And it was a great moment. It was special. That was my first time winning the championship overseas. So, it's still, one of my favorite memories. And then, so that's 2018. So 2018, we won the French League championship, and that was a special moment. And that's probably my favorite moment as a pro right there, what you're watching now.
Yeah.
Just to, be able to win that championship and win each series. And just the odds we had to overcome, and because we were picked to lose in each round. So to win and get that championship in 2018 was probably the best moment of my professional career.
With the fact there's so many American players playing in Europe now and around the world, do you see, you bring our style of play over there, the plays even out? I know at some point, when it first started, the Europeans coming over here and our players going over to Europe, that there was two kind of distinct styles. Is it now more of the same style on both sides of the sea?
I don't think so. So in Europe, it's a lot of team basketball. A lot of team, a lot of, passing and just moving the ball around. In the NBA, it's a lot of – it has some team, but, most of the time, if you have that superstar, you give it to them and get out the way. In Europe, it's more of a team game, and you play as a team, and it's more geared towards college. I feel like,
Yeah, there's no doubt. And talk to us a little bit about you've obviously played in Turkey, you played in France, you played in Lithuania. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like, moving around like that. I mean, I got to imagine, being able to keep a high level of play going had to be difficult with all the jet setting around the world like that, huh?
Yeah, my first few years was, tough. Just being away from home like that, and just being away from family and friends. That's that long period of time, and you had to get adjusted to the new basketball. How I was a kid basically, and I was playing against pros now, older guys, stronger guys. So it took me a few years to get adapted to it, and after that, third or fourth year, I was considered a veteran, so it was no problem for me. I was used to everything. I knew what to expect. I prepared my body in the summertime for it, so I was ready for it.
How long is the season over there? How long is the average season over there in whatever leagues you played in? 60 games, 50 games, 80 games?
So it depends. It all depends on like what country you're in and what league, what team you're on. So my first year I was there like 9 months and I played maybe 40 games. But then and we were playing one game a week, which was awful. But then when I got to other teams, we started playing 2 games a week. So I would say more like 50, 55, 60 games maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on your team and what country you're in.
That's crazy. It has to be difficult, dealing with all the different rules and different leagues and all that kind of stuff. I can't even imagine. But take us back a little bit to the college days. Obviously now the game has changed so much. You've got these perennial one and doners, which, there was a little bit of that back when you played, but, now a lot of these teams, they're built on these kids that are there for 1 year. And then with the new transfer rules, there's being a Tennessee fan, just to give you a little background, I've had tickets over at Thompson Boling since they built that place. And I love Tennessee basketball, and I really loved it because we always had, guys came back. We had the same guys this year and next year. And, I grew a bond, with you and your team. And then, Admiral and Grant, guys were there for a couple of years. And now with the way that the NCAA is and with the new rule changes, a lot of teams have a completely different makeup each year. And I just want to know what your thoughts are on the changes that have gone down in college basketball. And what do you think, it'll do to the game?
Oh yeah, the transfer rule has been absolute madness. Everybody's transferring now, and it's just like I understand if there's certain situations where you can transfer, but at the same time, I'm the type of like when adversity hits, I want to see what you're made of. I want you to stick it out and fight through it. Now we've given them a chance to just if a coach yells at me, I can transfer and be eligible right away. Which I understand some cases people may transfer, coach leave, etc. But I'd like to see them stick it out and fight through it because then adversity is going to hit at all times, even when you get older. And I think it's just a way of making it easy to get out instead of fighting through it and, finding a way to get over it and make it happen yourself. And with the one and done rule, I feel like that's a waste of time. I feel like these kids, if they're good enough, if they want to, they can go right out of high school, just like baseball, I feel like they should be able to do that.
I agree 100%, Chris. I've been saying it on this show since we started the show. If somebody's good enough that a team wants to draft them, they should be allowed to go and make their living playing basketball. And, and they do that in baseball. You can go right out of high school and play. But if these kids, decide not to go in the Major League Baseball draft and they make a commitment to college team, I believe in college baseball, you have to stay there for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, yep.
Yeah, and I kind of would like that. I don't know what your thoughts are, Joe.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, what I brought up, and Chris, before you came on the air with us, we were talking about Ben Simmons and how he's taking a lot of a beating today about the loss for the Sixers last night. And I said, well, I went back to his college days. He played after you in the SEC, but you could see the symptoms of what happened to him in the playoffs, the fact that he couldn't hit free throws in college. He only took 3 3-pointers his whole 1 year at LSU, 3. And as a point guard, to not want to, take your shot when it's open, to not be able to hit the free throws when you have the chance, and especially in today's game where the 3-pointer is so important, this guy came out with holes in his game, and he probably should have stayed an extra year or two to work on this stuff. I know the money is – no one would turn down the money, but now it's like you're looking at it going, wow, you had a lot of holes in your game coming out. I don't know. What did you were you watching Ben Simmons last night? What did you think of what went on?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like you said, his team's out there playing 4 versus 5 because the defense don't respect him. They don't guard him. So it makes it tough. And he's, supposed to be there. He makes $180 million. So they expect more than 5 points out of him. They expect him to, score some points and, because he does everything else great. defense, pass, rebound. Like he does everything else extremely well, and that's the only thing he's missing is being a threat from the outside and being able to shoot. So, I hope that he gets in the gym and just works on the shot all summer long.
Yeah, that's what it takes. And I think that's one of the reasons that Magic was a little critical of him. I think he felt like maybe he didn't put the work in, and that's something that we know about you, Chris, from watching you shoot. There's been some hours in the gym behind behind those 3-pointers that have gone up. And talk to us a little bit about this tournament you guys got going on with the Volunteers. And I know you said you hadn't played in a while, but have you guys gotten a chance to practice? When does this start? Give us a little info on that.
What's called the TBT, the basketball tournament, and the winning team gets $1 million. And we, a lot of my old teammates and me are getting back together and going to start practicing here probably within the next 2 weeks, and start practicing and getting ready. And we play July 23rd in Columbus, Ohio. It just came out today, the brackets and the seedings and all that. So it's going to be fun. We're very interested. We got a tough bracket, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I've watched it before, and I think the Marquette team won the last time
year.
I watched. Was that last year?
Yeah, last year they won it.
I watched those guys play, and they had it pretty good together. And then after I graduated high school, I lived up in Ohio, so I'm pretty familiar with the Buckeyes, and they had a team that played pretty well for I think the last 2 years. So
yeah, 2 years ago they won it.
Did they? Ohio okay, State. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. So I enjoyed watching that. I think it should be pretty fun to see.
Chris, you come from the SEC, which is, a reputation as the football conference first. That's what everybody talks about. But it still is a great basketball conference. And back to when you were winning the Player of the Year award, you had to go up against a Florida team that was pretty damn good, huh?
Oh yeah, they were back-to-back national champions. They were beyond good. They were great.
Well, I mean, it speaks for your game when you winning the Player of the Year over Horford and Noah. I mean, that you did your work. You made them take the back seat to you, which says a lot for what you did for the Vols. So, talk about playing the SEC game back then. You guys played like we talked about the one and done. Those guys actually stuck around like you did. So talk about the rivalries. The fact that you play. I don't think if you're there for 1 year, you get the rivalries that you got. I mean, you must have loved going up against those guys 2 and 3 times a year.
For sure. Florida was a great team. We always had battles with them, and I think I'm trying to think. Florida didn't beat me too many times.
No,
not too many times, but we knew how great they were though. With and like we just talked about, they all stayed 3 years, and it showed how they were, built team chemistry. They knew each other. They played together so long, and they were just hard to beat. They just had Al Horford and Joakim Noah on the inside, Corey Brewer on the perimeter, Torian Green and Lee Humphrey, and they played the right way, and that's why they won the national championship. I also had Coach Billy Donovan coaching, who's a great coach in the NBA right now, and they were special. But playing in the SEC was great. It was tough every night. 2 games a week, and you better bring it every night, especially on the road, because teams were, it didn't matter if they were last or in the middle, they were going to bring their A games, and you had to be ready to play at all times.
Yeah, and that that shot we just watched right there was you hitting that big shot over Kevin Durant. Talk to me a little bit about KD. I know I don't know how much you got to watch that series with the Bucks, but I've been critical of KD, but he's pretty dang good, and he stepped up big. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I mean he's probably the best scorer in the world easily, but right now, and he showed it these whole playoffs. He came up short. Was it yesterday or Saturday? But he let the world know that he's back from his injury and he's ready, competing for the best player in the world status. And he's always been a special player, and he's tough to deal with. So I feel sorry for the opponents. Especially I was watching PJ Tucker because he was playing such great defense on him the whole tournament. I mean, the whole playoffs, and KD would still make the shot. You know, it just shows you how great KD is at 6'10", 6'11", being able to shoot over people and handle like he does.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about being influenced, I mean, you influenced players when you watched you at University of Tennessee and now all over the world. Who was somebody you admired growing up? Who did you pattern your game after? Who was some guys that you admired in the NBA?
I mean, I always loved Kobe. I loved Gilbert Arenas, Allen Iverson. You know, those are probably my three favorites growing up. Besides I don't count Michael Jordan because he's different. You know, but Michael Jordan, of course. But those three probably were my favorites growing up, I would say.
Hey, Chris, I know you guys have a alumni game coming up too. Give our listeners a little bit of information on that because I'm pretty sure you said you were going to be doing that as well.
Well, I said I was going to try, so I'm actually at a wedding that same day. So
Okay.
It's going to be tough for me to get there. I'm going to try to get there afterward later that night, and hopefully I'll catch a little bit of it. But it's going to be a special event. You know, all the old players is coming back. It's going to be a great weekend to see everybody. So I'm gonna make sure I'm there, but I don't know if I'm playing in the game, but I'll be there at some point, I would say, later that night in Knoxville.
Nice. And, you know, obviously, you know, Coach Barnes has done a pretty good job. But, you know, when you were here, you know, you had Coach Pearl and and we're on some fantastic teams that Coach Pearl put together. You stay in touch with Coach Pearl, and what was he like as your coach?
Our coach was a great coach. He really knows the game and knows how to approach the game, and he brought that winning mentality to us. You know, he instilled it in us the day one when he got the job because you know my freshman year we had a down year, and he came in and instilled that winning mentality, and you know, I think that's why we were so successful because our leader worked hard and you know he watched film, he did the things that you know make you great. And, you know, he taught us about putting extra time in, the work, and, you know, that always usually, you know, leads to success. But I talked to Bruce. It's been a while since I last talked to him. When they played Kentucky this past year, I actually went to the game. He left me some tickets here in Lexington, so I went to the game and got to talk to him the night before the game.
Nice.
And you got to say, no one could rock an orange jacket like him. I mean, that's tough. That's tough to make an orange jacket look good on a man. So, Chris, when I don't know if you were listening or paying attention today, but the Supreme Court came down and ruled that athletes should be getting compensated. Wanted to get your opinion on that a little bit. How you feel? You've been through the ringer. You had to give up a lot to be a successful NCAA player. What did you think when you heard about that?
I mean, I like it actually. You know, the university makes millions of dollars off the players, and so for the players to get a little bit out of it, I feel like that's the least they can do. You know, because you know when you're a college athlete, you miss a lot of stuff. You know, you got practice in the mornings, and you got class, and you got practice in afternoons, and you got study out. So it's like a job doing all that, and you know you can't really live the college life the other students get to live. So I feel like that was a great thing to do.
Do you think there's a danger though? The only thing I worry is you see the halves, like in football, Alabama, Clemson stockpile talent. I mean, in basketball, Kentucky seems to get 8 of the best 9 players in the country. Now, if we throw cash into it, I mean, and take kind of, who knows what goes on behind closed doors in some of these universities. But if they can come right out and start a bidding war, that's the only thing I worry about. Do you see any danger of that kind of stuff?
I mean, I feel like there's danger in anything we do. It's just, I think that's part of life. It's a risk, of course, but I feel like, just try it out and see. I'm not saying it's going to be forever. Just try it out and see how it goes, like a little trial and error, and see how people react and act to it and go from there.
No, I agree with you. I think the money's there. And, a lot of times, the people that are against this, they say, where's the money going to come from? Well, these coaches are getting $8-10 million a year you could take a little cash out of their pockets. And, I played small college. I played at a Division III school, but even doing that, I realized how much work that you guys put in. And, everybody's like, well, they get their school paid for it. Well, a lot of people get scholarships, but they don't bring in, $50 million a year to the university. So I feel like that the players should get paid. And it's something that these kids, deserve.
As long as they can keep it equitable, as long as they can keep it fair across the board, where every team has, like I said, I hate to see it. To not use a bad analogy, but I hate to see a team become the New York Yankees of the NCAA. And just outbid everybody for the great players.
Hey, Chris, tell them Kentucky gets a bunch of 5 stars every year, and we still beat them. So forget it, man. Nothing. Life ain't fair, Joe. Just to break it to you. But
yeah, I know.
These kids,
I hate the Yankees.
Yeah. So, Chris, anyway, we loved having you on, man. We really appreciate it. I read something that you guys you got a camp coming up with Darius Miller. Why don't you talk to our listeners a little bit about that and pump your camp a little bit?
It's actually tomorrow's the first day here in Maysville, Kentucky at the high school here in my hometown of Maysville, Kentucky. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and it's a great time. Hopefully I'll start back doing a camp in Knoxville again, and hopefully we'll get that up and running probably next year or next 2 years. And just it's always fun being around the kids and seeing them have fun and smiling and happy, and at the same time me teaching the game.
Nice. Well, when you after you guys win the $1 million, we want you to come back on the show and talk to us a little bit about the tournament and how it goes. So you still come talk to us after you get the $1 million?
Of course. I got you. Never, always.
All right, man. We really appreciate you, Chris. Like I said, I've always been a big fan. Loved watching you play, and I've been cheering for you even when you've been overseas. And I hope you guys have a great time playing in the tournament.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Chris.
Come back and see us, all right?
For sure.